Hey everyone, this is Dani'i and welcome to this updated video this evening. I hope you have been enjoying your day and excuse the toneless in my voice. So I made a community post earlier about a neck injury that I've been dealing with today. So that has sort of impacted me and that it's very painful, and also I've been dealing with a lot of discomfort. But knowing myself, I definitely will go on with this update because it just does not feel right to complete the day without these two videos being posted. So I'm here with what is happening across the North Atlantic as well as over in the Eastern Pacific, with Max, which has made landfall and is moving inland in Lydia, which is about to make landfall as we're going to be heading into tomorrow. And so let's start with the Eastern Pacific, and there we can see our two active systems. There's Max, which is moving in with those flooding rains, those tropical storm force winds, and all that heavy rainfall is likely to also trigger mudslides. So that is going to be a possibility as well, maybe already happening across some areas. And then there's Lydia. So there are these double systems. And as we look at the latest forecast for Max, we are seeing here that as we're going to be heading into very early tomorrow, maybe even as soon as later this evening or tonight, it will be downgraded to a tropical depression because it will be cut off from its source of fuel and energy. And it has strengthened a lot between when it became a named storm and up onto the point of landfall, especially with that proximity to the Mexican coast. Also, as of 4 p.m., the sustained winds are at 60 miles per hour, and it is moving up to the north-northeast at 7 miles per hour. So whatever is left of it will continue up to the northeast, likely bringing that rainfall threat along with it further into Mexico. And then there's Lydia, which has now prompted hurricane warnings. So the current sustained winds off Lydia are around 70 miles per hour to just below hurricane status yet again, and is likely to actually make it to hurricane status. And it is moving up to the east-northeast at 8 miles per hour. So highlighted in red is that hurricane warning, which is in effect for Las Islas Marias and Playa Perula to Esquinapa. And then the blue is indicative of a tropical storm warning, which is in effect for Esquinapa to Bahia Tempehuaya, as well as Manzanillo to Playa Perula. So within the next 36 hours or so, these hurricane conditions are likely to bear down, but the tropical storm conditions will begin before they intensify to reaching that point of hurricane conditions. So I hope that everyone within these warning areas have been making the necessary preparations, because the system is going to be moving inland tomorrow with those dangerous conditions as well. Now we want to hop over into the Atlantic basin, and there you can see that there's a lot of shower and thunderstorm development across parts of northern South and Central America, as well as sections of the Northwest Caribbean. There is Invest 92L still given that high 80% chance of formation, likely to become a depression by the midweek and eventually a named storm acquiring the name Sean. Let's zoom into the Caribbean and surrounding areas. So for northern South America, there we can see all those showers and thunderstorms popping up. Those white dots are indicative of lightning strikes. So across parts of Colombia, Venezuela, we see some activity, even in some isolated spots for Guyana, but for much of the country, nothing much is happening. As we head into Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, there we can also see some activity popping up. Let's head further up north, and there we see that things are pretty dry over in the east. Maybe some occasional passing showers here and there, but for the most part, nothing much happening for eastern islands. But as we head toward the vicinity of Jamaica, going to the Cayman Islands and eastern Cuba, there we can see all that activity associated with the tropical wave moving through. So zooming into Jamaica even more, here we can see that there is quite a bit of activity across some spots this evening. It's a bit more active in the southern parishes than northern parishes. But as we head through the rest of today, there is going to be that possibility of some heavy rainfall across some areas. And again, those periods of heavy rainfall may trigger flash flood, and hopefully that won't be the case. But that tropical wave is impacting the area. As we zoom back out here, we can even see some more showers, thunderstorms developing near the Pacific coast of the other Central American territories. As we head to the western side of Honduras, going to El Salvador, and even over into Guatemala. Now, of course, there's that disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico, which is given that low chance to develop. And I'm not expecting a whole lot to become of the system because of just how strong the wind shear is. That wind shear, that westerly shear, is quite prominent or dominant right now across the Gulf of Mexico. So there is a low 20% chance that we could see something become of the area. No guarantee it will form, but either way, with all that moisture also going to be induced by Max, as well as what will be left off Lydia, could try to materialize and become something within the coming days. We'll definitely have to wait and see for that, but there's that next area to watch. And then of course, as we're going to be heading into later this month, we're seeing some hints of something trying to form in the Caribbean. So GFS and Canadian models have been hinting that we could definitely see something. Let's go on to the Euro ensemble tracks, and these go out to the next 10 days, out to next Thursday, the 19th of October. So here we can see it. So most of these tracks over here are for current 92L, which is expected to develop. And then for a tropical wave, something interesting could happen, because we're seeing some of these tracks showing somewhat of a westward track of the system. So we'll definitely have to look out for that. If that high pressure manages to reinforce itself and then another tropical wave moves off into conducive conditions, then we could see it develop and head to the west. No guarantee of that happening. Those are just hints. And then as we head into the Western Caribbean, there we're seeing all those L's indicating that we could see an area of low pressure form, and under the right conditions we might see development, even those tracks for that Gulf system. So we'll definitely have to wait and see. As we head out to the next 10 days for the GFS ensemble tracks, we're also seeing somewhat of a similar story. Not much activity coming from the main development region, seemingly headed toward the Caribbean, but we do see a lot of activity expected within this general area in and around Central America, over the Pacific and the Caribbean side, but of course seeing more activity over in the Eastern Pacific, guys. So that is what is going on. That is what is expected right now in terms of what is currently happening with these systems, with the tropical wave, and also the potential for future development. And development will all be dependent on how favorable environmental conditions are. And so just a quick recap of what is going on over in the Pacific. So again, there's Tropical Storm Max, which made landfall earlier. It will only weaken from this point onwards and will eventually dissipate likely as we head into tomorrow, but remnants could continue across portions of South Mexico with that rainfall threat. And there's Lydia, which is likely to bear down as a hurricane for sections of Mexico, for those aforementioned areas that are under a hurricane or even a tropical storm warning. And so that is pretty much it for this video. I hope that everyone to be affected by Lydia is taking the necessary precautions, and I hope that everyone being affected by Max is doing okay as the storm continues inland. So again, that's it for now, and I hope that you found this video to be quite informative. However, as always, if you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments. I will respond to you once I get the chance to do so, and remember to always be weatherwise.